So a couple of months ago, I'm talking with one of my buddies who's a paramedic for a very large Denver-based hospital here. And he was out on a call on his ambulance, going to go pick up this patient who's got severe bleeding. So he hops on that casualty, reaches into the bag that his hospital has provided for him, pulls out a cat tourniquet, puts it on, and starts tightening it down. As he's tightening it down, it breaks on him. So without missing a beat, instead he reaches into his pocket, grabs out a tourniquet that he carries on him, a legitimate cat tourniquet, puts it on, tightens it down, saves his life. After the call is all finished, they get the patient to the hospital. He goes back and looks at that cat tourniquet and realizes it's not a real cat tourniquet. His company, this hospital, stocked his medical equipment with fake cat tourniquets. Now, obviously for my friend, his company was trying to save a few bucks. They saw that the cat tourniquet is listed at about 30 bucks a pop. They didn't want to pay that. They found this other tourniquet that looked exactly the same, but now they're only paying $10 a pop. So they decide to buy a huge quantity of these to stock their ambulances and ERs with. And it turns out that they purchased a very subpar product. Now, these counterfeit cat tourniquets are being produced by unscrupulous companies overseas, and they're flooding our market with them. They are pretending that these are life-saving devices, and the way that they're designed, they look almost exactly like a legitimate cat tourniquet produced by North American Rescue. Now, it makes sense. The cat tourniquet has been used by law enforcement, military, paramedics and EMTs and hospitals, and in the civilian world, it's got a fantastic quality reputation. But these counterfeit tourniquets are not made to the same quality standards that the North American Rescue cat tourniquets are. These counterfeits, they look exactly the same. They're described as working exactly the same, but they do not work to the same quality. And it's possible that these could get you killed if they have them in your medical kit. So if you have these, you need to make sure and double check that everything that you have, every cat tourniquet, is a legitimate North American Rescue cat tourniquet and not one of these fakes. So after I heard this story from my friend, I decided I needed to go and check all my cat tourniquets. I did. I didn't find anything wrong with them. But it still seemed like it was kind of a problem. I went online and took a look at what other people were saying, and I found some other instances where people have found these fake cat tourniquets and are warning other people. So I started working on an article to kind of talk about this, to warn everybody. And while working on that article, someone I know went in and looked at their cat tourniquet after I talked to them about it, and they discovered that they had a counterfeit cat tourniquet. And it was in a kit sold by a fairly reputable company, and they missed it as well. So I don't want to try and throw out any shade on anybody. Like, sometimes people make mistakes and they don't realize it. They just see a good price and they're like, sold, and that's all that they need to do. So we need to get the word out that this is a real possibility and that people need to be double checking to make sure that these aren't on the market. We need to put these people out of business because, in my opinion, this could get you killed, and it's not that difficult to make sure that you get a quality one. So I decided I was going to write this article, and I needed to figure out a way I was going to test it. And from all of the reports that I've seen, the windlass is broken or other parts of it have failed. And so I figured I need to write this article. I need to take some pictures, get some good shots, and kind of see for myself if this is going to work or not. So I got a cat tourniquet and I bought 2 of these counterfeits off of Amazon. This is one of the biggest places that most people will get these. So you need to be doubly sure that you're buying from a reputable vendor on Amazon, but this is where I got them from. So I took them, I got a log because I didn't want to like tighten them down on my own leg, put them on a log and tighten them down. I started with the cat first, put it on the log, tightened it down. It took 2 turns to get that tied down to the log before I couldn't get it any further. Then I took the counterfeit cat tourniquet and I tried to tighten it down the same as I did the other one. And I tightened it and cranked it and cranked it and cranked it until eventually on one of the counterfeits, the buckle broke. On the other Counterfeit Cat Tourniquet, the tightening strap actually just ripped out. I never had any failures with the windlass itself. I've seen a couple of pictures of the windlass breaking, but that wasn't the case with mine. On both of them, buckle broke and the windlass strap ripped out. So I could tell, obviously, these aren't made to the same quality and standards, so they just ripped out. So I decided, all right, okay, that's good enough for me. These are crap. I need to go write my article. So I sat down, started to try to write my article. And as I'm starting to write it, I kind of thought to myself, now hold on a little minute. Am I being biased? And of course, the answer is yes, I was being biased. I've used cat tourniquets my entire military career. Everything that I've done outside of the military, I've used cat tourniquets. I'm used to cat tourniquets. I know that they work. I'm biased towards them. So I was already pretty suspicious of these counterfeits, and I thought to myself, well, this is exactly what I expected to happen. It happened, end of story. Then I started playing a little bit of a devil's advocate with myself, and I thought, well, what if it's the only thing that you've got? Maybe this is the only tourniquet that you can afford, or maybe you bought like 1,000 of them, and you're just like, well, I can't really afford to go buy another 1,000 cat tourniquets. Maybe I should just use what I got. And the medic in me is thinking to myself, okay, so I need to manage my resources. So if I'm managing my resources and this is all I've got, could it work in a pinch? You know, could I throw that on, and even though it's not as good, it's still good enough? So I was like, okay, so let me think about this. How am I going to do this? And what I finally decided on is I need to, at the very least, do an occlusion test. I need to put the tourniquets on and see if I can get full occlusion of the artery. And my method of doing this is I'm going to put them on my arm and I'm just going to check my pulse. If I can still feel a pulse, then it's not working. If I don't feel a pulse after putting on the Counterfeit Cat Tourniquet, then I'll know I'll have occluded the artery enough. And then even if it's not as good, then it will still mean that it's good enough in a pinch. Now, I still wouldn't recommend these at all. I would say to everybody, like 100%, if you can get a quality cat tourniquet, do that. Throw that one out, get a quality one. But if it's the only thing you have, you can use it. But it turns out that's not what happened. All right, so I've got in my hands here, I've got an actual cat tourniquet. This is a legitimate cat tourniquet, and we're going to put it on and see what happens. I'll open it up. High and tight. We want that windlass where we can get to it. And we're just going to tie it down nice and easy. Leave that strap there. And now I'm going to turn it. One full turn. Two full turns. Check if I get a pulse. No pulse. So this is 2 turns. And then of course, if we're going to leave this in place, it's getting kind of uncomfortable, but tourniquets are going to be uncomfortable. Don't let the patient talk you out of loosening it up or anything. It's going to be uncomfortable. It's called tourniquet pain. It's a thing. So we got this tourniquet on. 2 turns of the windlass, and I do not feel a pulse. So let's check the other one, see if that works exactly the same. All right, now as we can see here, these tourniquets look pretty much identical. This one is obviously made to completely represent and mislead people into thinking that this is the same as this. But as you're going to see, that's not the case. All right, so let's get into that. I want to open this one up and put it on. Put it in the same spot. And now we're going to tighten it down. So here we go. Let's count how many turns. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It doesn't feel very tight. Not tight like the cat tourniquet. 6. Oh. How many was that? I lost count after it unwound. Ugh. All right, there we go. Check my pulse. I can still feel a pulse. Now it's weak, but it's there. And it does not feel as tight as that other one. And that was 6, maybe 8 turns. I lost count after it unwound. And you'll see the tourniquet itself didn't break. I didn't get full occlusion, and you can see how stretched out this became. This cat tourniquet looks like that, and this one is all stretched out. And this is the piece that ripped on the log test. This got completely ripped out after I tightened it down a certain number of times. Now, the biggest risk that you're going to have is not only is it not occluding, it takes more turns to get it tied down. The cat tourniquet only took 2 turns. This one took 6 to 8 turns, and I lost my grip on it as I was tightening it down. Now imagine that you have sweaty hands because you're nervous, you're in a tense situation and you're sweating profusely. Maybe you've got blood on your hands and your hands are a little bit slippery and you lose track of this and it completely unwinds, and then you got to completely re-ratchet it down until it's doing what it's supposed to, which it doesn't even do because I can still feel my pulse. That is going to significantly increase the amount of time that it's going to take to get that tourniquet tied down, and we don't have time. A person can completely bleed out before you can get this tourniquet on them, and it's not going to be doing them any good. This could get you or someone you love killed. So you definitely need to make sure and double check that you've got a legitimate cat tourniquet. All right, so now we're going to talk a little bit about how you can tell if your cat tourniquet is a legitimate one or if it's a fake. Now, the best way to make sure that you're getting quality equipment is to order your equipment from a quality vendor. A vendor that is well known and well respected for putting out good and quality gear. And the North American Rescue puts out a very good tourniquet for you. It'll do the job. So how can we tell? If you'll notice, we'll look at the actual cat tourniquet. On the back here, you should see some white lettering. And this lettering is going to say CAT, Combat Application Tourniquet. It's going to have an NSN number. That's for ordering purposes. And then it's going to also have the generation on it. This is a Gen 7. It says G7 on it. And then another serial number, it looks like. On the back piece of the plastic underneath of the windlass, it's also going to have more information on it. And this information is going to have just some more cat terminology. The windlass itself is going to say cat on it. It's on both sides of the windlass. And right here on the buckle, it'll have cat printed on it. On the fake, you can see I've labeled it fake because I don't want to mix this up and mistake it for an actual cat tourniquet. It doesn't have any of that. Now, at first I thought an easy way to tell is the windlass. And you can see here that the windlass is a much different shape. So I thought, oh, if I just spot this windlass, then that just means that this is a piece of crap and this one will save my life. But this windlass is modeled after an old generation of cat tourniquet. I don't know, I can't remember which one, but it was a few generations ago that this is mimicking. This is the new. You can see it's a little knurled so that you've got some good grip in case your hands are bloody or sweaty, and this one less so. But it's not the case. If you see this, you just might have an old generation cat. Look on the back and double check. You can see that there's no cat tourniquet information. There's nothing on the buckle that says cat, and there's nothing on the windlass that says cat. But To be doubly sure, order from somebody who's reputable and get yourself a good quality cat tourniquet. All right, guys, that's all I've got for you today. Check your kit. Make sure that you've got legitimate cat tourniquets and not counterfeits. It could save your life. It could save somebody else's life. And it's not that much more expensive. I mean, you buy one of these. I got this. It was $10 on Amazon. A legitimate cat tourniquet is $30. Okay, I get it. It's 3 times as much, but $30 to save your life is not that big of a problem. And we spend a lot more money on a lot more frivolous things. Good cat tourniquet will save your life, save somebody you love. If I've earned a sub and a like, make sure you hit those buttons. It helps me keep the lights on and helps me bringing you more content. I appreciate you all hanging out with me today, and I'll see you in the next one.